We're here in the workshops at Madison, home of Genesis bikes, and I'm with James Olsen, the Genesis designer, and he's going to show us three of the sort of highlights of the 2010 Genesis range. Starting off with the new Flyer. So James, a few changes on this model this year, isn't there? You were saying the forks changed. What's the difference there from the
one of the things we wanted to do this bike was keep the retail price, which was $599 last year, despite all the price rises and things we've had on bikes. We wanted to keep roughly the same price point, so we changed the carbon fork to a steel one. I think the steel fork fits in with the style of the bike a lot better. Surprisingly, it's actually a more comfortable fork than the old carbon one. It's a very slim, lugged steel fork, and it just really suits the style of the bike. You know, we've gone for a lighter gauge chainstay and seat stay, as well as a main tube set on the Flyer this year. So it is a more classic sort of style single-speed road bike than the sort of more track-inspired geometry and tube set of the Flyer last year.
Yeah, more muted colour as well. I mean, it's classy looking at this blue, isn't it? Sort of cornflower blue. It was quite a sort of zingy colour last year, wasn't it? As I remember.
Last year was lime green. The year before that it was white. So yeah, we've kind of gone back to a sort of a mix of old and new.
Ahead of the curve on colours, because lime green was a big colour of Eurobike a couple of weeks back. So, quick cheeky question on the fork. Right, so you've got a steel fork there. Now, these days, can you still get? I mean, is that a manufactured new for you, or are you still able to pick up?
They're actually available. Yeah, you can choose fork length, rake,
right,
chromoly, mild steel, chromo steerer tubes. You know, the specifications can vary, but you know, lugs like that, you know, that's a standard long shen lug, I think. But the parts, a lot of the parts that will be used on, like the seat lug, they won't be they can be specifically made for a manufacturer, but yeah.
They're just things that have been in the range for years, and they just...
The majority of lugs used are standard lugs available from a lug manufacturer that you then apply to the bike depending on the geometry, things like that. We don't use lugs on the mainframe because this lets us be, we've got a lot more freedom with tube size and geometry without the lugs, but a lug seat clamp and fork crown just adds to the style of the bike.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to say, personally, I prefer them TIG'd rather than lugged. I mean, the look, I just think it's a bit cleaner, really, but that's just me.
It's certainly
lighter and
more flexible, more flexible in terms of what you can do with its design.
And standard gearing on this, what's this?
4618.
Right.
Yeah, so that's about 67 inch roughly, 68 inch.
So fairly, I mean, that's going to work most places, isn't it? I mean, maybe somewhere really hilly you might.
Yeah, I've got the Chilterns in my backyard, and most of the hills around there you can get up with a bit of a haul.
But
the majority of people are going to use this around town where quicker acceleration, spinning on the flat.
And it's a flip-flop hub.
That's right. Yeah.
Any idea how many people actually ride it fixed? I mean, most shops, it's going to go out of the shop on the single speed
it will
side,
do,
isn't it?
Yeah. We don't include a fixed speed,
a fixed
sprocket
yeah.
with the bike, because we wanted that to be a considered decision to go fixed. To be honest, the idea of people taking a fixed ready bike out of the shop, having never ridden one before,
it's a bit scary.
It's a little bit worrying. I think it's a good thing that either riders know that they want to ride this bike fixed, and we'll probably remove the brake with these cable adjusters.
Yeah.
Go for a cleaner look. But how many of them do? 10-15%, I'd say.
Yeah, when you talk to most manufacturers, that's what they say. One other thing I'll ask you about, the white chain. That's new for 2010, isn't it? Was it a coloured chain last year? Or?
It wasn't, no. It's just a standard plate finish chain.
And how durable is that white finish?
Actually, if you use wax lube on it, it stays white. I've had one on I've got a single-speed cyclocross bike that I use year round, and started using wax lube on it, and it has got a white chain, just to see how the finish stood up over the winter, and I've been surprised it's done well, because the wear is on the roll as well, and the plates are sort of shifting across sets. It's one of those things we thought, some people like it, some people won't, but it's a very easy swap. If you wanted to just put a standard Shimano chain on it, they've all got those spares in the garage. It's a 332. So
we work for Madison. You've got two Deo ones this year, haven't you?
Yeah, two versions. Same specification, same price, same frame. The only difference is the bar and brake lever.
Yeah.
Do a drop bar version with a Shimano brake lever as well.
Yeah, which is very nice, very orange. And this. So, wide flats. Why do two versions?
question. It's one of those bikes that I don't think really, it's very hard to put it into a category.
True.
It's something we wanted to show how adaptable it was, so doing it in two colours with two different handlebar types shows that it sets up just as well with a flat bar as a drop bar. It works right as a single speed cross bike. It's kind of also our answer to, you know, there's also the sort of flat bar single speed, what I call sort of the fixie style bikes.
Yeah.
And we wanted something that's maybe's got a bit wider range, you know, can go off-road a bit easier, takes bigger tyres.
Well, you could, I mean, yeah, you could do a lot with this bike. I can see I mean, we've got rack mounts on here, guards. You could winterise it. You could.
Yeah, there's no reason why you can put an outfit in as well. It is wide open for adaptation.
I mean,
customisation.
I suppose it is very much a bit of a theme actually at the moment in the UK scene.
Yeah.
Kinesis have brought out the Convert 2, haven't they, which is a similar sort of...
Yeah, I think people are looking to be able to do something. They're looking for a type of bike that suits their needs. But the idea that when you decide you want to go off on a tour or you want to ride a different way to work as off-road or on-road, the bike's adaptable for your uses. So having two versions of this is always shown that you can set it up in different ways. And it's one of those bikes where, you know, we don't have 29ers in our range, but if people say, do you do a 29 bike? So how far away is that from a lightweight, which is 29 a single speed mountain bike, or how far away from a single speed cross bike is it? It's just one of those bikes that can do everything, and it surprised me actually how much fun it is to ride on road around town as well as off road.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like riding a single speed mountain bike. It's one of those bikes that really makes you focus on your lines, sort of tracking and momentum for the hills, that kind of thing.
One thing I will ask you about though, these bars, to me, they look pretty wide, even by mountain bike bar standards. So is there any particular thinking along those lines, or is it just that you expect people would just cut them down or swap them? Or
that's partly it, yeah. If they're wider to start with, you can always cut them down. For off-road use, they work fine that width. I'd expect people to cut them down if they're using it in city traffic every day. But yeah, you can cut them down a lot easier than you can the material.
One other thing I'll ask you about, it's steel, it's TIG welded again. Is it the same tube set or the same steel as the Flyer, or is it?
It's the same grade as
Same
steel.
grade. I was struggling to find it.
Uses the same seat stays. It's actually got deeper section, tougher chain stays because you expect, you might be hauling sort of a lower cadence, higher torque off-road, so the chain stays have been beefed up to cope with that. It's got a larger diameter down tube as well. It's actually got a very small gusset under the as well. So yeah, it's just a tube set designed for a bike that's actually going to go off-road, whereas I think if you're taking a Flyer off-road, it's a tough bike, it's steel, but it's not what it's designed for.
It's not what it's for.
Whereas rattling across routes off-road or going down flights of steps, the wheels can take it and you ride smoothly, the frame will handle it, no problem.
Fine, and price on this one?
$499.
Okie doke, right. Last, but not least, is the equilibrium. We were talking about this earlier, weren't you? And we were talking about geometry, and I was asking if the balance of the bikes. That's one of the things that James was keen to get in this bike, was a balance to balance the geometry to deliver sort of comfort and acceleration, really, wasn't it? Liveliness. If that was why it was called that, but it apparently isn't.
It isn't, but it does suit. It does suit the layout of the bike.
So tell us about it.
It's a comfortable steel frame that still rides. It's still got a sort of a sporty ride that somebody who's coming off a race bike will be used to. It's kind of the middle ground between sort of a lightweight touring Nordex bike and an actual steel race bike. It's been designed for use in winter in the UK. You've got plenty of clearance under the brakes here. The head angle has been backed off very slightly from a race bike, and the seat angle is slightly steeper. Now, obviously, the seat angle, you can slide your saddle backs and forwards to account for that, so the seat angle is not the most important thing, but the front end balance really does work well on the kind of the steeper roads, the bad road surfaces in the wet that we have in the UK.
Cotswolds then, be good there.
Yeah, it's great in the Cotswolds, and say, great in Chilterns as well. It's where we've done a lot of the ride testing on the bike, and it's just a comfortable bike if you want to ride all day, go on lightweight tours, that kind of thing. It's also a great bike downhill, if you're riding for fun, riding through twisted country roads. It's
So something for the sportive rider?
Certainly, yeah. So from experience, it's a great bike for that kind of thing. Because the front end geometry is slightly longer trail than a race bike, so towards the end of a long ride, front end's not so fidgety. It doesn't require as much attention to keep it on line, so you can just relax and get on with the ride. Which is the idea behind having a slightly different geometry to a race bike.
And interesting mix of part. You've got 105 on the front. Oh, actually, it's 105. Is this 105 as well?
That's not actually, no, it's not a 105. It's a Shimano non-series compact set.
Oh yeah.
So it's a 10-speed Shimano crankset. 105 STRs, 105 front and rear derailleurs, Tiagra hubs, Tektro brakes.
So is that a 5034?
It is, yes. Yeah.
It's funny. Sometimes they don't look as compact as they actually are. But yeah, let's see when I look on the inner rings. Definitely 34 in it. So that's it's a lovely bike, and it sells for
£999.
And it'll be available when?
Early to mid-October.
Right. Well, that'll be something to look forward to. Well, something for us to look forward to testing anyway. Hopefully.
So you got one of those,
yeah. Yeah. One other thing. So the fork here.
Carbon fibre with an aluminium steering tube.
Right.
Yeah. It's just colour match to match the.
Yeah, it looks really. I mean, it's a really good colour match. You never know. Well, thanks very much. Thanks, James.
Thank you.
Cheers.